Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Hsieh, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Toy Business Unboxing. I'm your host, Jason Hsieh. Today, we are joined by Dominique, creative force behind Heidi Huckleberry, hopefully I say that name correctly, a Seattle-based startup offering natural-inspired diorama kits. And her passion for sensory-rich creative play and her commitment to sustainability have shaped her company's mission to foster children's mental, emotional, and social health. And in today's episode, we'll be talking about the story behind the company, why she got it started, and different topic about how is this kind of product really play the role in shaping kids' connection to the natures and environmental awareness. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. That was well summarized.
Okay, thank you. And can you start out by sharing with the audience a little bit about the company and how do you even got this idea from and how do you got started in the journey?
Okay. I would like to start explaining what Heidi Huckleberry makes, what we sell, what our product is. So we make papercraft products, nature-inspired papercraft specifically for children 5 years and older, but also for their adults, with the aim to build a diorama, a quaint little scene. It's always hard to imagine what is she talking about. If you don't mind, I have a little show and tell.
Oh yeah, please.
I have a sample.
Please.
I came prepared. So
Good.
this is one example
Oh, nice.
of our diorama, Gnome Sweet Home. And so we have different themes, and they go with the seasons. Here's another one, camping one, which is very popular in the Pacific Northwest, to no surprise. So our product is this. It comes in a paper cardstock envelope and contains the framework, meaning the little characters, they are printed on cardstock. The props, and by props I mean elements that you have to like fold and glue to turn it into 3D elements. So there's
Okay.
that involved. And the kit comes with instructions and inspiration just to give ideas how to go about building a diorama, a background picture, and also a little mini book, like a zine. Zine is short for magazine, and it's basically a letter size piece of paper that gets folded and cut. And then
nice.
it turns into this cute little book.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's some cutting out pictures involved and matching it up to the according pages.
Oh, they actually need to make this book. It doesn't just
Yeah,
come with
it's
it like
just
that.
another activity, and
Oh, I
it
see.
contains a little story that accompanies the diorama.
I see. Very cool.
Is what's included. So the idea is to use a box. It can be just a cardboard box, or you can build your own frame if you're handy. Like I like to build these.
Oh.
Hang it on the wall. It looks really pretty. And then you go outside, garden or wherever, and you collect natural materials.
Can I put garden gnome?
So my go-to is moss and lichen, because the Pacific Northwest has tons of it. But also
Yeah.
bricks and stones and dried flowers, pine cones, whatever you can find to just keep your eyes open. And then you assemble your findings with the characters into a scene using your own imagination and your own resourcefulness. So this
So
is
what
in a nutshell our product.
what inspired you to create the product that you have?
Yeah, it's been a quite a long journey. So I am a mother to a daughter. Her name is Heidi, hence the name Heidi Huckleberry. She's now 12 years old. But
Oh.
as I was, and I still am, raising my daughter, came to realize that our childhood experiences are so different,
Mm,
polar opposite, like a
I
different
see.
world. And so
Good. Yeah.
when I was growing up, I
Yeah.
spent so much time outside. The weekends, our parents, they would shove us out the door and say, "Don't come back before dinner."
Yeah.
And and we would be bored and, "Oh, what can we do?" But that boredom sparked our creativity, and we
I see.
spent so much time in nature, just exploring, and we spent time with other kids together. And so we were free roaming or free range, you can say, and we were independent and adventurous. Nowadays, kids spend a lot less time.
More on an iPad.
iPad, kids love it. Yes. I feel are less connected to nature. They
Mm,
know less about their immediate environment.
yeah.
They also spend less time with their peers outside of school. So now we live in a world of exponentially evolving technology and instant gratification,
Yeah.
overconsumption, to be
Yeah.
honest, and convenience. Everything has to be convenient. And I do embrace technology,
Mm,
but I also miss the simplicity of a more grounded lifestyle.
yeah.
And this realization led to the creation of Heidi Huckleberry. I was drawing those scenes that are my fondest childhood memories, like climbing on a tree, picking apples, just being outside, exploring, and then it turned into a diorama. That is my
Yeah.
way of, like, hanging on to my past, that, and I want my daughter to have that too, that feeling of
Yeah.
freedom and nature. There's so many positive things that come with it.
And the other question I have, I think this also have implication to MASH, which is a really hot topic in the toy industry
Mm,
recently. For those the audience doesn't know what I'm talking about, MASH also stands for mental, emotional, social health. So I think there's some implication on how your product can also help with some of those aspects.
yeah.
Which is also part of your core mission. That sounds like, from your perspective, how does your kid help kids to develop those critical skills through creative play?
Yeah, so we all know STEM and STEAM. Those are the products that are designed to they focus on academic skills. However, experts and parents, they found that our children are struggling psychologically, and COVID has something to do with it, but evidence suggests that the issue runs deeper. It has been going on for a much longer time. So the initial response of the toy industry was to create calming, soothing toys, and this is where we got the fidget toys from, and the
Mm,
more stuffed animals, blankets, just to name a few. But beyond soothing, we also need toys that build resilience in our children. And this is when toy industry leaders and resilience expert got together and they came up with this category mesh. Although that acronym existed already for 10 years,
mm.
but they certainly shed some light on it. And so our product does several things. For one, kids and families do something together. In my mind, I see kids doing this together with their
Yeah.
parents, grandparents, caretakers,
Sure.
and they get to go outside.
Yeah.
The second is we connect children to nature together with their grown-ups who can help them understand their immediate environment.
Yeah, but I think that makes
Ah,
total sense because it kind of encouraged the kids to interact with each other, just like you mentioned, outside of iPad, and that's really part of the social emotional health. Is just an
exactly.
alternative way to interact with other peers and also interact with nature, like you just mentioned.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah,
It's easy to outsource our parenting to technology.
iPad.
There's the digital pacifier. I really like that because
Yeah.
digital pacifier. But this is not what our kids want or what helps them thrive. They want to know that their grown-ups take the time, spend the time together with them. This is what makes them feel loved and safe. So if you
Mm,
want a happy child spend time with their child. And the other thing about our product is that it leaves room for your own creativity. So you can give this kit to 10 different children, and they will come up with 10 slightly different versions of the diorama,
Mhm.
depending on what materials they find, how resourceful they are, how
I see.
creative they are. And I feel that is also very important in a world where a lot of products are designed to be almost as easy as possible and to not use your own imagination so much.
That's true. I mean, I guess there's also an interactive part because it's almost like a group exercise because
Yeah,
the box, like the parent need to help find, and if you want to
yes.
put it in the box, well, you can always use the Amazon box. There's a lot of Amazon box.
That was my thinking. Everybody has
I have an
Amazon.
Amazon box,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I guess because of the uniqueness of your product, I have been interviewing a lot of people on the podcast. I think you are the first, toy entrepreneur I met that create, the type of diorama you guys make. I guess what do you think is you already touched on it a little bit earlier during our conversation, but what do you think are some other benefit of building the diorama together, which is could be good for not just the kid, but also maybe for the parents or even the grandparent as well.
Yeah. I think when you so what I want to achieve, so these scenes that I create are scenes of children being outdoors.
Yeah,
You can tell it. I'm telling my story of my childhood, and I want my generation to remember what it was like because
yeah,
we live in the now, and the now is so different. You can easily forget, and so I like to like tell my stories, what I did as a child to my daughter, and she is
yeah.
always like, "What? You did that? You climbed mountains? You roam freely? Why can I not?"
You don't have an iPad?
Yes. For
Yeah. Yeah.
example, this is this is a winter scene when I was
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Very nice. Yeah.
when I was a child, we would like, go ice skating at the village pond that froze over every winter.
Mhm.
That doesn't even happen anymore because it's too warm. It doesn't freeze over
Have
anymore.
you ever considered, of course, you have about 3 sim right now. Have you ever considered also creating sim for, like, different cities? For example, like a
Mm.
diorama version of Seattle?
I actually have one in the making. It's
Okay, okay,
we're about
okay.
to launch that. It's a dog park with
Okay. Okay.
Seattle skyline.
Reason why I mention it is because this is actually a personal hobby of mine with my family. We travel across US. We have
Mhm.
visited 30 state out of 50 state.
Yeah.
Every single state that we visited as a family buy like what my wife buy a Starbucks mug, the Bean There series. How have you seen one of those? They have a mug or design for each of the state. So
Uh-huh.
each of the state they have a
Mug.
specialized
Okay.
like a
Yes.
coffee mug.
Yeah.
So my idea for your brand is, have you considered maybe creating like a version for each either city or just state? It's like you can use a lot of the state. For example, California have Yosemite, right? That's a very very well known like a natural place. But if you have a diorama version of it, now I feel like not only the parents want to buy for their kids, they might even buy it for themselves for like like
Mhm.
collection purposes, and that would
Absolutely.
be a really really cool idea. I'll actually buy
Yes.
one for myself.
There's, certainly a lot of potential, a lot of different directions you can go, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm starting with the Seattle one.
Yeah, if you just start with Seattle first and see what is the receptions,
Yeah, yeah,
people give you, and then
yes,
you can slowly expand to other cities.
yes,
Please do one for Phoenix as well. That's where I live.
yeah. Yeah, what would be in Phoenix?
Phoenix have Grand Canyon, so
Grand Canyon.
Arizona is very famous for Grand
Mhm.
Canyon. It's called
Yeah,
Grand Canyon State as well.
yeah,
You can do it by the state.
in
You can
all
even have like national park theme because I think
Mhm,
that will tie with the nature theme of your brand.
mhm.
It's amazing, and a lot of people that like to like visit national park would like to collect those kind of stuff
Yes,
as well. And maybe you can also sell it at the national park, the gift store.
yes. Yeah,
So that might be
I
a
can
really
see
cool
that.
idea.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be good.
and I think that will fit with the overall brand. And
Mhm,
the next question I want to kind of ask you is, also, I think sustainability is very important to you and your brand as well.
Yeah.
Can you also talk about how your brand incorporates some of the eco-friendly practice and material into your product?
Yeah, I would love to talk about sustainability. Sustainability is very important to me. Yeah, so 90% of all toys are made from plastic, and a lot of the toys, they have a really short life cycle because it's a trend or
Yeah.
quality is inferior. Only 80% of those toys cannot be recycled because of
Yeah.
mixed media, color plastics, and they end up in a landfill or incinerator. And globally, it's estimated that yearly 1 million tons of plastic toys are discarded. I can't even
Yeah.
comprehend how big that pile is, but it
Yeah.
sounds massive. And with our dioramas, I'm very proud that we are not contributing to the plastic pollution problem. So it's all paper based, and we encourage people to use natural materials that can be composted. Paper can be recycled, and also you build a diorama. It's an
Yeah.
experience, right? You can hang on for it, put it in a shelf, or even hang it on a wall, give
Mhm.
it to a friend, from
Yeah.
it to another. And then when you had enough, then you just take it apart and no harm done. That
Mhm.
barely leaves a trail.
I
And
see. I
this
see.
is
I see.
what I like
Uh,
about having this paper-based product. And we would also like to manufacture locally in the States, because that makes for a really good carbon footprint if you don't outsource it.
well, that's actually a very tricky business decision to make.
I know.
A lot more expensive to make in US compared to China. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a tough business decision to make. I
Mhm.
respect your choices. So,
Those are my convictions that I try to all squeeze in this one product, which turns out to be really difficult.
yeah, especially for making it in the state. But even if you make in overseas, that's also a way to try to make sure it's eco-friendly with the material, and you just need to be on the same page with your manufacturer to make sure they are doing the sustainable practice. But I do understand of you want to make in US, but as a business practice, it's going to increase the cost, as we know.
I do like the idea of supporting other local businesses.
That's true. That's true.
Somebody has to start somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. I did when I first started the brand in 2016. We used to use a few US supplier, but man, the cost is just too high. We couldn't sustain the growth,
Yeah,
and also they couldn't make the quantity that we wanted to be once we scale. For example, some of the product we originally sell, we were selling like maybe 50, 100 unit a month. But we scaled to couple hundred unit a month, and the local supplier couldn't keep up
yeah,
without demand. So that also kind of add a little bit of a complexity. I mean, I do like to support US based businesses, but it's just too cost prohibitive for me as a business owner, because at the end of the day, it's still numbers. I need to make sure the number makes sense at the end of the day to make the right decision. So I
yeah,
did transition all my supply chain to China. I don't use any US supplier anymore
yeah.
over the
And
years.
maybe in the future we end there, but at least want to try.
Of course. And thank you so much for sharing. And my next question is, how do you think about toys in general shapes the kids' mindset about environment and their sense of responsibility to the planet?
Yeah. So part of Heidi Huckleberry's mission is to raise awareness for the parents. What kind of toys are not good for my children? What is good for my
Mhm.
children? What materials? What effect does it have on our environment? So there
Yeah.
is that. And I also want to teach kids about nature, bring them a little closer, because there is a disconnect between nature and children nowadays.
Mhm.
Because the more they know, the more they understand their ecosystems, the more likely they are to protect it. So there's a lot of work to do, and that is a big part of our mission.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Also,
And as a startup company, what challenge have you faced in staying true to your mission, supporting kids in today's digital landscape?
but as we briefly already talked about it, it's really hard to want to do all the right things.
Yeah.
The local production, the good materials. It is hard because buyers they
Mhm.
compare our product to a product that was mass produced in China.
Yeah.
We are noticing that, so we're kind of relying on the people who
Have
have a big space in their heart for local businesses, for small businesses, and
yeah.
for businesses with emission.
Have you considered like going after homeschool parent?
Going after homeschool parents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like marketing to
yeah,
specifically for
yeah.
homeschool parenting because they could be part of their homeschool curriculum. It's a little bit harder for school to implement that kind of item like the type of product you have into the regular school curriculum. For homeschool parent, they have a lot more flexibility and say,
Mm,
oh, today we're going to learn about nature. We're going to make this diorama outside. That's
yeah,
today's lesson. That might be something.
like,
Especially, I feel like the parent that decided to do homeschooling, they are also more conscious about
mm,
environmental issues and all the other issues. That's also one of the reasons why they decided to homeschool, right?
mm,
Because they want to teach the kids their own way instead of however the school teach nowadays, right?
yeah,
So I feel like that might be a potential kind of niche to
yeah.
do some digital marketing too.
It's definitely niche.
Yeah, but I think the success for the small and mid-sized business like us, me and you, is we need to focusing on the niche. Because if we try to go after everyone, then we just get overfloated by the noises that we have right now. Because
Right.
this just like you mentioned, if you go after the mass-produced product, you're never going to succeed because you don't have the budget to outcompete against them, and your costs doesn't and the price doesn't make sense to compete against them as well because they can make it so much cheaper at
Yeah.
such a bigger quantity. But if you really want to sell like the mission, the vision that you have, maybe talking to a smaller group of people like the home
Mm,
parent and create dedicated content for the homeschool parent, like, okay, use this as part of your curriculum. When they buy the kit, they not only get to make it, they will learn this as well. That might resonate with some parents, like, oh, whoa, this is not just a toy, it's also like a mini curriculum that
mhm,
I can share with my kid about environmental sustainabilities, eco-friendlies, and other concepts. Because at the end of the day, the main mission is we want to keep the planet that we're all living on, right? And I feel like a lot of the adult nowadays, or some politician as well, is like, I'm probably going to be dead by the time the planet is over. So they don't really care. They just want to make, they just want to grab as much money they can. So they don't really care about how their decision is going to
mm,
affect the future generation, right?
yes.
So I feel like your product can be like not just the product, but also really give a lot of different kind of life lesson for the kids as well. If you position it that way, again, it's all about marketing and how to package your product.
Mhm,
It's the same product. How can you package and position it in a way is so unique and people are willing to pay more for because
yeah.
that's the added value.
And finding those people has been a journey.
I have some connection for you. I'll share some connection for you
I would love that.
after the interview because I have been involved in the special education or special needs space for a very long time.
Yeah.
There is a nonprofit foundation. I know their president, which they do a nonprofit for special needs homeschool parents. They have like a
Mm,
whole parent network for kids with special needs, actually. That's
yeah.
also homeschooling. And the reason why I'm bringing it up because my wife and I has been thinking about like originally when we learned about the diagnosis many, many years ago about potentially doing homeschooling, but it's just a lot of work. Homeschooling is a lot more work for the parents, obviously. And I have a full-time job and my wife have other things going on. So we end up didn't choose that route. But the reason why so many special needs parents decide to do homeschooling is because of the complexity of the kids. For example, for my son that have autism and ADHD, it depends on like teachers. Like the
Mhm,
interaction with the teacher, especially when he was much younger, he have so much more sensory issues is a lot harder to know is the school doing all the right thing and really giving him all the attention that he need. Even so he have a IEP, individualized education plan,
mm,
but not every single teacher follow it really closely as well.
Yeah.
So it is a very, very common for special needs parent to decide to go homeschool, to do
Yeah.
homeschooling. It's actually a niche within a niche because like your product can teach the kids on so many different level. And
Yes.
I think that could be a potential, market to try to go after and see if you can gain some traction that
Yeah.
way. So, but you don't know until you try, and then just like everything else we do in
Yes.
business, it's
Yeah.
hard to win.
And we learn so many things as we go.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
yeah. I don't wanna miss mentioning my business partner. So Heidi Huckleberry is not just, myself, but, my friend and business partner, Jacqueline. We
Mhm.
met, 2 years ago at the Seattle airport. We were both flying to Germany because this is where we're both from, specifically East Germany, and we became friends. We do share the same cultural background, and we also share a similar journey of, immigrating the United States, moving around a fair bit and having to reinvent yourself, and we both have a daughter each. So we got together and we started 1 year later, started Heidi Huckleberry.
Oh, I see. You ever consider to market it as design in Germany? Now you can sell for a premium because everyone associate Germany as premium product, right? You can say it's design in Germany because that's where you're from, technically.
Maybe
Or
I could say
is it-
designed by a German helps, but, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
those scenes that I depict are, scenes from my childhood in East Germany. Like,
Is that during the Cold War period or?
came down in '89.
Oh,
I
okay.
was 11 years old, so I experienced communism as a child
Oh, okay,
and
okay. That
democracy.
should be part of the lesson. That should be part of the lesson that
In
part
there, it's in there.
in there, like, what
Yeah,
do you
because
have, like, more like a clear curriculum the parents can follow?
I mean, my work, my illustrations, my thinking is strongly influenced by my childhood, how I grew up. So in communist East Germany, we didn't have any fancy toys, you
Yeah,
know. So we had to play outside and we had to be
sure.
resourceful
Yeah.
to to fill our time. But I think that made me the creative person that I am today.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful story.
I would have grown up with an iPad, who knows?
100%. That's part of your origin story. So you should definitely share more about that more in everywhere on
Yeah,
social media, all the different marketing channels. You should
okay.
definitely
We'll
highlight that
talk
story.
tomorrow.
Because people can resonate to that. It's like, oh, well, that's where I mean that makes sense. There's also some historical significant to it, right? So yeah, now it's more than just being outdoors. It's also like connecting to our root as well.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah,
you are trying to connect to your root, which is Germany, and trying to connect back to my root, which is Taiwan, right? So it doesn't matter where we live now. And in many different ways, we are also trying to connect with each other, right? Because
mhm.
we all share the same planet at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what race or ethnic background. We only have one planet, one Earth, unless you want to move to Mars, but we're not ready to move to Mars yet.
I
So,
would like to stay here. I would like for my daughter to have, like,
for sure.
earth
Right.
to live on.
So as well, kind of running down today's interview, I have just a few final questions. What is your thought on the state of the toy industry when it comes to sustainability, and where do you think there's some room for the industry to do better job on?
Yeah, as I already mentioned, there's a lot of plastic
Yeah,
in
got
the toy industry. Sometimes we just make things more complicated than they have to be. You
it.
know?
That's true.
Uh,
That- That's
like
true.
going outside, being, in nature,
Mm,
taking in fresh air, being
mhm.
together with your grown-ups. Does so many good things for your child.
Yeah.
Movement, the physical activity alone, and I think there is room to
Mhm.
expand in this direction.
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did interview another company that specializes in eco-friendly packaging as well.
Love to do all these things. I wanna use, eco-friendly ink to print my designs and eco-friendly everything. We'll see. I'll try my best.
So the final question I have for all the guests actually on the show is, if you had to share just one piece of advice with someone that's getting started in the toy industry, what would that be?
My advice is don't do it alone
Mm,
and ask for help.
ask for help, yes.
Running a business, you have to wear so many hats. And my business partner and I, so we're a two-woman team. We're sharing the hats. I also focus on the illustration, on the art itself, and Jacqueline does media and 1,000 other things. I mean, some people can pull it off, but my advice is have a business partner, or a friend, to bounce ideas.
I agree. I wouldn't able to run the business I run right now without my sister, and it's
Yes.
a really critical part of our growth as a
Yes.
company. So I'm more of a crazy visionary. I always come up with
Mhm.
crazy ideas, and then she kind of put me in check, and she also helped to implement some of the idea.
Ask for help. I think there are a lot of people and non-profit organizations that are more than happy to help small businesses thrive.
Yeah,
But
but
small businesses are not doing so well in the
yeah,
States.
it's not easy.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but for a shameless plug, here at Toy Launch, we do provide a lot of free content and free education for the toy entrepreneurs, including the podcast that we're on right now, and also all the webinar that we do on a monthly basis, trying to educate people in the industry, either new or they have been there in a while, but they just, they don't know what they are doing when it comes to digital marketing.
yeah,
So that's what
right.
I'm really passionate about. How can we use the power of digital marketing to really share and spread our mission with the potential customer that we want to also touch and change their life. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Where can people find you online?
We are online on the HeidiHuckleberry.com website where you can see our current designs. And we are trying our best to be active on social media. So we have
Mhm.
Instagram and
Yeah.
Facebook accounts, Pinterest, and
Okay.
all that under Heidi Huckleberry World. It's long. It's one word, Heidi Huckleberry World. So we do host crafternoons. We have an event on this Saturday with
Oh, really? Nice.
we a small collaboration with REI
Okay.
where we craft with kids together. That
Nice.
roads
Okay.
fun, yeah. So we've
Nice.
done these events a few times.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And they can also find that information on the website, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So, for our listeners, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you could leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resources, tip, and latest update in the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag #ToyBusinessUnbox. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Hsieh signing off on Toy Business Unbox, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having us. Very
Thank
much
you.
appreciated.